You can't run. You can't hide. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, what media you consume, what books you read, what games you play, numbers. Numbers are everywhere. The time you wake up, the temperature outside, how far you are into this video right now. Every book has page numbers, every movie a runtime. Game designers have always known this. Even the earliest of arcade games were centered around a single number, and it was your score. Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Space Invaders, they couldn't look more different in terms of gameplay, but they all depend on a score. In the modern era of gaming, I would say that this is Balatro, Cookie Clicker, Vampire Survivors, any game where the primary satisfaction comes from watching numbers increase. You can classify them as their own genre at this point, and I like to call them number go up games. The technical term for these games are incremental games, which I learned from r/incremental games. Exploring this thread gave me a really good idea of what a number go up game actually is, because a lot of people here are making their own. Someone's making Breakout into an incremental game and it looks sick. I really liked watching gameplay like this, or any game that's like this, but I couldn't help but wonder why. Why? Why are these games so fun to watch? Why are they so fun to play? There's, of course, the easy, obvious answer, which is that, we like the feeling of making progress, and really nothing makes that feel more concrete than having numbers. The second that you can quantify something, it becomes more real, and therefore a lot more rewarding. Sure, yeah, that's part of it. But there's more to it than that, because there's really 3 stages of the number go up. There's the anticipation, the increase, and then the feedback. For example, jumping over a barrel in Donkey Kong is what gets you 100 points. Getting the points is obviously great, that's part of the fun, but the real hook that keeps you going is seeing a barrel and knowing that eventually when you jump over it, you will get points. It's the anticipation of the number going up just as much as it is the actual increase. Just like how in Balatro, you're not given an exact number for how your hand will score. You're given the poker chip count and the multiplier, so you have a vague idea, but it's an intentional design choice that your exact ending score isn't spelled out for you. And there's always more contributing to your score than what you see. So you sit there and you prepare for the number to go up. It happens step by step, card by card, and that anticipation is so much more thrilling than if it just gave you a final number and then you press submit. The same principle there even applies to something like Stardew Valley, which is not a number go up game, but it has parts of it. Like, you aren't told how much money a fish is gonna sell for when you catch it until you go to sell it. And that alone makes the process of fishing a lot more fun because the enjoyment lasts longer than just when you're fishing. Having drawn out rewards like that is just a part of good game design, but it's put on full display when numbers are involved. But anyway, eventually it happens. The number does the thing, the number goes up. But we're still not done yet, because now it's about how your score will start to catch on fire in Balatro the higher it gets, or how you hear the sound of coins rattling around as your gold goes up in Stardew Valley. It's a good sound. It's a great sound. Whatever animation or final piece of polish that makes you really feel the impact of the number going up, that's the feedback part of the loop. And it's that cycle of anticipation, action, and feedback that makes the number going up so exciting and addicting. And I don't use the word addicting lightly here, because it's literally the same process that like a slot machine would put you through. In order to better understand this, I traveled to the closest thing that I could get to a casino without accidentally promoting gambling, Dave & Buster's. We are now at Dave & Buster's. This is the home of the numbers going up. We're gonna do a bunch of machines and we're gonna see a lot of numbers go up, so I'm very excited. Just as my theories had predicted, there was an overwhelming amount of numbers on every machine. But it wasn't just the numbers, it was the flashing lights, the shapes and the colors, and the anticipation of how big a number a machine was going to show me. It was so exciting and, addicting that we had no choice but to keep trying to win as big a number as possible. We tried again and again and again and again, time after time, spin after spin, trying desperately to get that big bass bonus, but it just never happened. These numbers were in fact unpredictable and out of our control. Mostly.
Oh my god. Remember guys, we're trying to get numbers going up.
Wait!
Now this just brought me to the conclusion that number go up isn't always like gambling slots, because clearly you do have some influence over the outcome. We just had a lot of negative influence, so usually the numbers went down. But even when number went down, we still got prizes, we still got all the anticipation of what it could have hypothetically been like to win. So, who really won? But all of that is very similar to how I see control in video games like Vampire Survivors. In Vampire Survivors, you are strategically positioning yourself and choosing upgrades to survive as long as you can. Numbers are sure happening here, and it's igniting all those chemicals in your brain, but it's in response to what you are causing. Someone who sucks at this game is not going to get as much of a reward as the person who's doing really good. Now, am I coping, and is this the same thing that poker players tell themselves? You know, maybe. I don't know, you know, don't look at me. Look at today's sponsor, GameMaker. Because GameMaker is a game development engine that you could use to make your own number go up game. Or any type of game, really. Undertale was made in it, The King is Watching, Beastie Ball. GameMaker is, in my opinion, one of the most beginner-friendly engines out there if you've never done coding before or never made a game. It has such a long history of artists and non-programmers using it to make games. And that's literally what I was when I started using it in high school. I had yet to take a proper coding class, but I was still able to make fun little narrative projects using GameMaker. GameMaker is all very visual. There's the option of a drag and drop mode if you want, but even with code, it's just very intuitive. Part of why is because there's so many tutorials out there made to help you get started, both on and off the official GameMaker channel. And you're not going to find yourself completely stranded, unable to get help, because they have a very active, helpful Discord server. So if you're trying to get into making games, you want to make a fun game fast, you want to make a number go up in a game, then visit my amazing link shown above here and download GameMaker for free, of course. But yeah, my link. Thanks, guys. Thank you, GameMaker, for sponsoring. Now, I mentioned Vampire Survivors earlier, which is probably one of the most numbery of the number go up games out there. The number of kills you're getting is always visibly increasing, and then there's also damage numbers literally everywhere, and those numbers will go up as you upgrade your stats. Your stats, of course, are also numbers and percentages that go up, which is right next to the increasing timer, next to the increasing amount of gold, right under your increasing level, determined, of course, by your increasing number of XP. So there's a lot of number go up to study here. But hey, I will give it to them. The number of XP that you have towards the next level, which is this blue bar right here, it's not a number. Well, I mean, it is, obviously, but it doesn't show you a number. You just have to visually estimate based on how full the bar is. I want to make a clear distinction between that and then being given a level, which is a number. Because there's something fundamentally different about seeing a number go up versus feeling like a number is going up. Okay? If you're playing Expedition 33 and you attack an enemy, it tells you exactly how much damage you're doing. It pops up as a big number, and then you see that number subtract from the enemy's health bar. It's a similar thing in Risk of Rain, which also shows you your damage numbers. So you always have that concrete understanding of how powerful you are. Now that is very different from a game like Silksong, where there are no damage numbers. The only way you know how close you are to killing something is through familiarity and hands-on experience. You eventually learn how long it takes to get to the second stage of a boss fight, or how many hits an enemy takes to kill, but that's just from trial and error and fighting something over and over. I did a whole video analyzing Hollow Knight, because of course I did, and I already talked about that a little bit, but you guys pointed out something that I didn't realize. When you upgrade your weapon to deal more damage, the game doesn't tell you how much stronger your weapon now is. But there's these enemies that are right outside the upgrade shop that would previously take like 2 to 3 hits to kill, and now they only require 1. So the game is nudging you along to feel how much stronger you now are. That is the perfect example of feeling numbers instead of seeing them. It's the alternative to having a dummy in the tutorial of a game, like in Hades. I think that the outcome of this difference mostly has to do with immersion. Hades, Balatro, and Vampire Survivors feel like you are playing a game, the same way that you would play an arcade machine. But Silksong, on the other hand, will immerse you by not having numbers. And after 30 minutes of playing, it doesn't really feel like you're playing a game anymore. It feels like you're exploring a world. But 30 minutes into Vampire Survivors means that you've gone through the cycle of numbers going up, you've probably lost a few times. You have that fun, conscious feeling like this is a thing you're trying to win. And that's the shift that I think you see when you start to make a game about numbers. So what I get from that is that number go up games are really just games in their rawest form. When we look at the definition of a game, it's something competitive played by a set of rules that's determined by either skill, strength, or luck. A true number go up game like Balatro is that. This game is a rule set that you are trying to crack. Just like Slay the Spire, which I love, by the way, oh my goodness. I'm not really in it for the world building or the story, and yeah, there are things in it that do immerse me, like the art, but I play this game the same way that it feels to solve a puzzle. You are optimizing to win. You are playing a game, to the very definition of it. It's kind of weird to think about games so literally like this, but it's also refreshing. More and more people now are seeing games as art, as a medium to consume just as much as we play. And that's beautiful, that just adds to the capacity of what games are and can be. But the same way that I love to immerse myself in the rich, incredible piece of art that Expedition 33 is, I also like regressing to my primal desire to win and to watch a number go up. So it's kind of the space between narrative masterpiece and mobile game brain rot. Those are the two extremes, and I think that number go up games are right in the middle. They take the thoughtful design of artistic narrative games and then combine it with the game loops of mobile games. So you end up with something that feels fun, and it feels like it actually has a soul behind it. Unlike all those endless runner games that you'll probably get an ad for. So in the lens of game development, I find this whole principle just so motivating. Because yeah, a really artistic, emotional game like Omori or Disco Elysium will succeed, but so will something as stupidly simple as Cookie Clicker, as unexpected as Megabonk, as seemingly straightforward as a literal poker roguelike. I'm not saying that these games are easier to make in any way, but number go up games show that sticking to the roots of what makes a game in its purest form, the mechanics, the loop, the satisfaction of numbers, can be everything you need. That's just further proven by the fact that number go up games also don't usually have a lot of graphical complexity behind them. In terms of what you're seeing on screen at any given time, Balatro is really just a few different colored backgrounds with cards and then some UI to frame everything. Gameplay itself doesn't really ever look that different from what you're seeing right now, but that just doesn't matter, like it's still a banger. Or look at Nubby's Number Factory. This one is certainly more stylistic. It's not ugly, you know, there's very clearly like an aesthetic and a style and they're sticking to that, but it's also not like they had, you know, a professional artist. But guess what? That doesn't matter. Overwhelmingly positive reviews because it's fun. And that's sometimes all a game needs to be about. The Norp Apolog is another number go up game that I could loop into this category. I think it looks great. It's very straightforward. The palette is fantastic, but it's not like it's super high resolution and very fancy. So in this case, it's the level of detail that's now irrelevant, or maybe it even adds to the sensation of numbers going up. So graphics overall matter less in these games, but I do think it's a rare case where UI then matters more. Because the player is always looking at a number, it's really important that that number is framed well, and it's always communicating what it's supposed to be. In the world of interface design, there's UI, which is the user interface you're seeing, and then there's UX, user experience, which is how it feels to interact with that interface and how intuitive it is. Like in Balatro, this is your main menu, this is the interface that someone designed, but the fact that the play button is positioned on the far left instead of being centered with the other options, that is UX. It's the most intuitive placement because it's the most likely choice for the player, so left to right, put it on the left, and it's the menu flow players would already expect. But when we're talking user interface with numbers, we can look at Vampire Survivors. Because when you have this many numbers, you better do a good job telling me what numbers for what. Like, okay, these are the stats that you're shown in game. This is kind of hard to read. If I want to upgrade my luck, I'm going to be skimming this whole list until I eventually get used to where to find it. Whoa, that is so much better. Now that we have icons, which is how this actually is in-game, it is so much easier to read. And of course, the spacing and the margins here matter too, right? There's 5 distinct sections of stats here, and that also helps my experience navigating the numbers. And like I said, because this is a game about numbers, the UX for the numbers matters so much more than it does in like an RPG, where maybe you only see numbers when you open your inventory. Good UX always matters, and frankly, I think it's just one of the most ignored parts of modern game design, but it really matters when it's a number go up game. Now, as we approach the end of this video, devastating, I know. Maybe you're thinking to yourself, Juniper, you're using a lot of different examples for games in this number go up genre. Like, of course numbers go up in Vampire Survivors, but they also do in Stardew Valley, which is a farming game, or Slay the Spire, which is a deck builder, or literally any game that I could think of. I mean, heck, any game has numbers that go up, right? In any online game, you're trying to make your rank go up. In any game with money, you're trying to get more money, even if it isn't the focus. So many games involve levels of some kind. The version of the game itself is a number going up. Your achievement count, your number of saves, your hours in the game, your hours watching the YouTuber who talks about the game. Everything. You really can't run. You can't hide. No matter what you do, what temperature it is outside. It's pretty cold. Thank you so much for watching and listening to me talk about numbers and games and numbers and games. You should consider making the subscribe number go up. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye!
Go.
This is good stuff.
For it. Start freaking out.
Wait.
M-I-C-K-E-Y-M-O-U-S-E. That's me.